Hello and welcome to Union Wise, a podcast about labor. I'm Jake Ravatic, and I'm once again joined by Jessica Bertocci. Jessica recently went to Detroit for our union's Constitutional Convention. So I think a good place to begin, Jessica, is what is the UAW Constitution?
Hi. The UAW Constitution, it's like a rule book that governs how the union operates. Think of it like the United States Constitution, but for a union. It doesn't tell you how to build cars or how to do your job, but it sets the rules for how the union is run. It protects members' rights, defines how leaders are elected, and explains how money is managed and provides a process for changing the rules when members vote to do so. It helps ensure the union is governed fairly, consistently, and democratically. It outlines the rights and responsibilities of members, the duties and powers of the elected officers, how elections are conducted, how finances must be handled, how meetings and conventions work, and how disputes are resolved. It also establishes the democratic process that members use to make these decisions and hold their leaders accountable.
Thank you. So what's the purpose of the convention that we just had back in June?
The main purposes of the Constitutional Convention are to review and amend the UAW Constitution to keep it current and address the new challenges that we face today. Debate resolutions and policies that help shape the union's direction. Elect international officers, give members a voice through delegates who represent their local unions, strengthen the union's democracy by allowing members' ideas and concerns to be discussed and voted on. Think of it as the union's version of a legislature. Delegates do not negotiate contracts there. They gather to decide the rules, structure, and long-term direction of the union itself. So the purpose would be the UAW Constitutional Convention is to give members, through their elected delegates, the opportunity to shape the future of the union by reviewing, debating, and voting on its governing rules and policies.
So who went from our local and how were they selected?
We at Local 249 sent 12 delegates and 12 alternate delegates. The delegates are Dave Russell, Jim Fisher, Jay Bosler, John Travers, Gary Thomas, John Mejia, Zach Lane, Danny Johnson, Hightower, Rick Coleman, Sadie Bass, Ed Skaggs, and Robert Brusick. The alternate delegates are Dave Winkler, Jessica Bertocci, Porsche Thomas, Daniela Garcia, Daryl Stewart, Aaron Miller, Stephanie Henderson, Tony Gott, Lexi Souter, Stacy Perry, Troy Lyman, and Darren King. They are elected by the membership in the triennial elections. They are ranked by the number of votes that they have, so the alternate delegate with the most votes from membership is the first one to take the place should a delegate have to be absent. Should two delegates be absent, the first and second alternate delegates with the most votes then take their places and so forth.
Thank you. I didn't quite understand what the alternate delegates were for, so good explanation. How does an amendment go from an idea to being discussed to being voted on the floor? Like, what's that whole process like?
And it's actually kind of crazy. First, an idea is proposed by a member, a local union, committee, or another authorized body. They then identify the part of the Constitution that they believe that this should be added to, removed, or changed. And then secondly, the proposal gets written. The proposal is put into the amendment form. It should clearly identify the article and section to be changed, the exact wording to be added, deleted, or replaced, the reason or intent behind the change, often including the explanation. Third, the amendment gets submitted according to the deadlines and procedures established by the Constitutional Convention. Fourth, it gets reviewed by the Constitution Committee. Before the Constitutional Convention, the Constitutional Committee reviews all submitted amendments. The committee will study each proposal, combine similar amendments, make a recommendation to the delegates such as to adopt this amendment or to not adopt this amendment. The committee does not make the final decisions, it makes just recommendations. And then the fifth step is the Constitutional Committee presents its report to all convention delegates. Delegates receive the committee's recommendations before the proposals are debated. And the sixth step is to debate the convention on the convention floor at the Constitutional Convention. The committee will explain its recommendations. The delegates may speak for or against the amendment. Delegates can ask questions and, when permitted under the convention floor rules, may offer amendments to the proposal itself. The next step is after the debating ends and the delegates get to vote, If the amendment receives the required level of support under the convention rules, it then becomes part of the UAW Constitution. If it does not receive enough votes, it then fails. So in short terms, it goes like this. The idea, written proposal, submission, the Constitutional Committee review, committee recommendations, debates by delegates, adopted or rejected. And this ensures that the process stays with the delegates that the members have chosen.
So as the convention was going on, I was watching your Facebook and everyone's Facebook, and I kept seeing memes that were like, hey, it's me again with this guy. I realized he's a parliamentarian. Can you explain like what that is and like why that was like so funny to you guys up at the convention?
So the parliamentarian is a person. His name is Mike Talaricio at the UAW Constitutional Convention. He advises the chair on the rules of order, the UAW Constitution itself, the convention rules, and then whenever there is a procedural question, like if the motion was in order or how the amendment should be handled, whether a debate can even continue, how a vote should proceed, the convention chair would then turn to the parliamentarian for guidance. Because it happens so frequently, he was having to disclose the rules or say something out of order. Whenever he took the mic, he would say, hey, it's me again, parliamentarian, which was extremely frequent. It became an inside joke, lighthearted, and whenever he would say it, everyone would laugh and clap. It was almost as if he was on a stage and we were on his audience. There was a lot of procedural questions by delegates where he would have to pop to the mic to answer. His job is to keep the convention following the rules established. It was also so constant that whenever things got confusing, we all knew, here comes a parliamentarian. Then he would say, hey, it's me again, the parliamentarian. He would then explain why this cannot be done and why this is out of order or why the debate cannot continue.
So you're just kind of like a referee to keep things in order and on track?
Yes, very much so.
All right, awesome. Thank you. What are some of the amendments that were passed at the convention? I heard something about like a health and safety committee and a veterans department, but what else was passed?
There was a lot of things that got passed in the days that we were there, such as strike pay was increased to $550 a week. That is actually being considered to be raised right now to $600 and something a week. The strike defense fund was strengthened to max out at $1.3 billion. Up to $100 million for organizing bargaining initiatives. The delegates approved increasing the amount that can be used for special bargaining and organizing efforts, reflecting the union's focus on growth. The constitutional definition of a retiree had been expanded. The change clarified who qualifies as a retiree under the Constitution and helped ensure that eligible retired members could participate in UAW elections. Health and safety standing committees were added to the local unions. This was established to give locals a stronger constitutional framework for workplace safety work. The UAW Veterans Department was added to enshrine the Veterans Department into the Constitution so that the Veterans Committee became an actual piece that cannot be taken away. Additional local standing committees were authorized, such as communications, health and safety, and other updates intended to strengthen member engagement and local union operations, such as monies from union dues to directly fund the women's committee.
With the communications committee, like is that just like member to member, or is that something different?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
They didn't define it like that, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with like all the committees is like there's like a word like, oh, you have to have this committee. No word on what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean it could be something like that, or it could be like, a podcast. It could be more.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's Luca, because I saw that. It's Luca as its own committee. Like,
that's right.
It's right there on the screen, and I couldn't think of it. One amendment that I think we should highlight on this podcast, because I haven't really seen anybody talk about it except for you on your Facebook page, is the neurodivergent support amendment. I think that's near and dear to both our hearts, you with ADHD and me with autism.
Yes. The neurodivergent amendment, from what I understand, is it helps recognize being neurodivergent as a disability. People think that you look okay or you act okay, that you must be fine. When depending on the level of neurodivergent you are, it could mean that you are struggling, but nobody can see it. It could mean that you have certain coping mechanisms that you're ashamed to tell people about unless you're backed up against the wall. For example, focusing when interruptions and other thoughts invade. If you are in a meeting and multiple people are talking and you need to remember important things, a recorder can help tremendously. It can help you not forget to put in the union business on specific days for certain members, or help you remember which crew they just went to and moved, because keeping track of so many people shifts bumping is difficult. Some people might think that it is silly because they have no problem remembering everything. Well, for some neurodivergent people, it is difficult, especially if there are distractions and things just not adding up. We process information and we communicate differently than other people. So this amendment helps promote the equal participation in union activities, leadership opportunities. It encourages meetings, trainings, and communications to be more accessible. It also recognizes that neurodivergent people are important parts of membership. Neurotypical people and neurodivergent people should all have the same equal opportunities and not be ostracized because we are different. Neurodivergent people can have ADHD, dyslexia, Tourette syndrome, autism, spectrum disorder. We learn differently, though. We need more or less sensory stimulation. We excel at recognizing patterns, solving problems, and focus deeply on subjects that we enjoy. We can benefit from written instructions, quiet workplaces, and extra processing time. This amendment just makes sure that we as neurodivergent people can have the international union support on educational initiatives to ensure that workers understand their rights to request these certain accommodations, understand the resources available to them, and receive information regarding accommodations commonly utilized by other neurodivergent workers.
Thank you. I'm excited to see how this amendment changes things in the UAW and our workplaces in the future.
I'm excited to see it too.
All right, Jessica, last thing. The convention's theme was Our Generation's Defining Moment. What does this mean to you? How do you think it will affect your activism and organizing work over the next 4 years? And what impact do you think it will have on Local 249 and the wider world?
Our generation's defining moment in my heart gives me goosebumps. I'm not sure who chose it, but the power that it holds behind it is astronomical. I feel it varies per person on what it means. One could see it as being a physical aspect, like transitioning into more green energy with electric vehicles, the shaping of the new technologies, and the battle against AI. One could see it as a momentum to make the UAW a huge force to be reckoned with, like back when unions were at their peaks. Or strengthening of the UAW internally, about governance, member participation, and the opportunities to build stronger and more democratic union for future generations. The strike resources, retiree participation, health and safety, and organizing strategies, too, will affect UAW members long after our current leadership is gone. Every generation of UAW members has faced defining challenges, from the sit-down strikes in the 1930s to winning pensions and healthcare to surviving globalization. Today's generation is being asked what legacy it will leave for the next generation of workers. But for me personally, it means hope. Hope that we return to solidarity in full force. That we feel such intense unity like they felt in the Flint sit-down strikes. Solidarity isn't the absence of conflict. It's the willingness to work together despite differences when members share common goals. That we listen to one another, even if we disagree. Focus on issues instead of personal attacks, keep debates respectful, and remember that elected officers come and go, but the union will forever belong to the membership. I hope it means that we are on the right side of history and we can fix what's been broken. I hope it means that we take back what's rightfully ours. It will define our moment in time. It will define our moment in time, good or bad, win or lose, for decades to come. I hope that we feel a strong sense of unity and return to solidarity because we cannot afford not to. Aspects of the future literally depend on us. For example, the battle with AI. If we don't unite now, our jobs could very easily erase their human counterparts. So within the next 4 years, I'm not sure what that's going to bring and what that's going to look like. I'm not sure about the impact it'll have on Local 249. That also puts us into a whole nother election cycle. But for the wider world, I think the impact will be that more countries unionize. Mexico, Korea, all the places that I talk to people in labor notes, and they're all trying to do what we're doing right now. So hopefully in the wider world aspect, we can all fight AI together and keep human jobs available to us. Otherwise, I think we're doomed, personally.
Yeah.
What do you
All
think
right.
it means?
I think it's like you said, like, what happens in the next 4 years, good or bad, whether we can, rise up to the challenge of, climate change and AI and all the issues facing the world right now. If we rise up to it, we'll be remembered in history as like the generation that set the stage. But if we, fail at it, we'll be remembered as the generation that like had, the opportunity to seize and fix these problems, and we dropped the ball.
Yeah,
So we gotta, get off our butts and really get to work.
we really do. And I think that's another reason why the money was allocated for the organizing and the bargaining efforts, is to fight these things coming at us, because we're at the bottom of the hill and we can see it coming. And we need resources to get up there to fight it. We need our armor and everything. So this is what they're doing to give us that. And if we fail, then we will be remembered as a generation that failed UAW.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. To close this episode, I'm going to run through the candidates for the IEB election. I believe there's still time to update your address if it's not correct, but do that as soon as you're hearing this to get your ballot. So first up for president, we have Greg Muni, Sean Fain, Will Lehman, Rick Boyer, Brian Keller, and Tricia Geiger. And then for secretary treasurer, we have Brandon Campbell, Margaret Mock, and Ron Coors. And then for vice president, we have Mike Booth, Lauren Dickerson, Kevin Gotinsky, Keisha Richardson, Eric Fleming, Robert Wright, Mark Slade, Rachel Dickerson, Tony Toddy, Ryan Hesterand, and Mike Turner. For trustee, Stacy Lovelace wins by acclamation. And then for Region 4 director, we have Lucas Spain, Richard Golaki, and James Dumas. Sorry if I pronounced any of those names wrong.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Union Wise, a podcast about labor. You can support the show by sharing it with a coworker. Union Wise is available on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else podcasts can be found.
Links to the show are available on our link tree, which can be found in the show's description. Also, you can email us at unionwisepodcast@gmail.com.
Union Wise is a podcast by rank and file UAW members. The ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast are our own and do not necessarily reflect the views of our employer, Ford Motor Company, UAW Local 249, or the International UAW.
Union Wise is recorded in the Story Center at Mid-Continent Public Library with help from library workers who recently voted Union Yes and joined the CWA Local 6360. Congrats, guys.
If you or someone you know are interested in forming a union in their workplace, please fill out the brief survey in the show's description to get connected with a UAW Local 249 organizer.
Thanks for listening, and as always,
Solidarity forever.